Hello everyone, back to tuning into the GavsWeatherVids Summer 2023 forecast. So here we go, it's time to bring you another long-range forecast. We're up to Summer 2023 and we've been building up to this moment for the past 3 months. We've been doing summer updates every week for the past 3 months, along with 3 season model roundups as well. All been building up to this moment, and it's now time to reveal all. Goodness gracious for me, Gav's going to reveal all with our summer forecast, and I should get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we've got 10 to 14 day ahead a little bit later on as well. Thank you so much to Richard for the incredible summer forecast gift. Thank you so much, Rich. I love it. So summery. Thank you so much, my friend. That's absolutely gorgeous. And thank you so much to Terry for the spreadsheet as well. And also Shrine. Going to see something from Shrine in a moment. A little bit later on in the video also. So thank you so much to Richard. Thank you so much to Terry. Thank you so much to Shrine for all of the help on the summer forecast and also on the summer update. So you're going to go through the spreadsheet first of all. So you're going to see Terry's spreadsheet and we'll find out which years have come out on top in terms of the GavsWeatherVids summer updates methodology. We will then go through the analogues. We'll go through all of them and see how they're looking, and then we will release the GavsWeatherVids summer forecast. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I shall get on with it for you right now. So here we go then. We're going to start off, as I say, with the spreadsheet. So this is showing all years that we've featured in our updates, our summer updates from 1950 to 2023. So Terry has been compiling this week by week for us, so we can work out which years are leading with our forecast methodology. So we begin, of course, 1950, which is yearly current just here. Begin with 1950, we end down at the bottom with 2022. All different categories of things I've been looking at through this season of updates, like the solar cycle phase, like SSWs in February, like February CT, like early spring negative NAOs, like March CT, developing El Nino, what else, sort of April in Wales rainfall. We've looked at a lot, haven't we? Wet springs and QBO phase matches as well. There's been a lot that we've looked at in this season of updates. I think we looked at pretty much everything we could have looked at other than May data, and we couldn't do May data, due to the calendar, really. So on the yearly columns, you can see the black X's. So, for example, the year of 1950 has 3 hits. 1, 2, 3. It has a hit for England and Wales April rainfall. It has a hit for March CT. And it has a hit just here for winter CT as well. So 3 hits for the year of 1950. However, we're looking to do better than that. So what about 1952? That has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 hits. So 1952 is quite a significant player in our season of updates this year. So anything that has like 1, 2, 3 hits, that's excluded. That's put into the bin. Not enough hits to be included, I should say, within the methodology. Let's come down to one of the key years, which is 2018, down here at the bottom, which actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 hits. Now, a little bit different for this particular season, and this won't happen very often, or doesn't happen very often, but a little bit different for this season is that we have got half hits for the solar cycle matches, not for solar cycle matches, I want to talk about, for the SSW matches. So you remember when we looked at sudden stratospheric warmings, we looked at both sudden stratospheric warmings that occurred in February and sudden stratospheric warmings in February that were either a displacement or split event. So this year we had a sudden stratospheric warming in February that was a displacement event. So they are like half hits. You know, they did have the SSW, but it wasn't a displacement, it was a split. For example, let's explain that again. The years that have SSW matches are either full hits or half hits. The reason for that is that I knew this was going to be a nightmare to explain. The reason for that is that this year we had a displacement event of the SSW rather than a split. So if a year has an SSW in February but it's a split, it's a half hit. If it has an SSW in February and it's a displacement, it is a full hit. So I hope that makes sense. So, for example, 2008 just here is a full hit for the SSW because not only did it have the SSW in February, it also had a displacement event rather than a split event, whereas 2018 weighted a little bit lower because that had a split rather than a displacement event. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, everybody. So that's the full plethora of years that we've been looking at. You remember 76, the Daddy of Hot Summer showed up late in the updates. That only had 2 hits, though, in 1976. One there and one there. 1975 also only had 2 hits as well. Whereas, for example, we've got 1979, which shows up a little bit more. That has 1, 2, 2.5, 3, 4.5 hits there. So that's the way we work this out. You know, it's the only way we can do it to try and work out which years are leading the methodology. So Richard sent this through to us, GavsWeatherVids Summer 23 analysis. So these are the years that are the key years, if you like. With 4 hits, we've got 8 of them. 1959, 1972, 1979, 1982, 1986, 1991, 1992, 1993. With 4.5 hits, we've got 1957, 1990, 2001. With 5 hits, we've got 1951, 1952, 1963, 1964, 2005, 2008, 2018, 2012. With 5.5 hits, we've got 1998, 2018, and the lean year was 1981. However, that's too many years, so we're going to narrow things down even further. So we take out all of the years that have 4 hits, and this is from Shrine. These, therefore, are the leading years for this year's summer 2023 forecast. With 4.5 hits, we've got 2001, 1990, 1957. With 5 hits, we've got 2012, 2018, 2008, 2005, 1964, 1963, 1952, 1951. And then with 5.5 hits, we've got 2018 and 1997. And then finally, the lean analog year with 6 hits, we've got 1981. So that, or those, they are the leading years for the GavsWeatherVids Summer 2023 forecast. Thank you so much to Terry, thank you so much to Richard, thank you so much to Shryan for that. Right, let's start going through the data then. So this is how all years combined are coming out, all Junes combined are coming out with 4.5 hits. So this is every year. Every year is included here from 2001 right way up to 1981. So it looks an unsettled scene for those Junes with below average heights, low pressure overall across the north and west of Europe. There is a blocking signal in the Atlantic and it's going up to Greenland as well. So a cool and wet signal for those Junes. All Julys combined look like this, with below average heights again across much of northern and also western Europe. High pressure is pulled out into the Atlantic and jet stream is going south. So a rather cool, probably not as wet, but a rather cool signal for July, probably quite showery as well. All August combined looks very unsettled for the GavsWeatherVids Summer forecast methodology, with all years scoring 4.5 hits or more, with the below average heights again over and to the east of the country. High pressure is in the middle of the Atlantic. Jet stream is on a northwest-southeast alignment. A cool and wet signal for those August. All summers combined for years scoring 4.5 or more. Basically all years within the forecast methodology looking unsettled again, with the below average heights of low pressure over and to the east of the country, the above average heights high pressure out in the Atlantic. Jet stream going southwards. It's a cool and unsettled signal for those summers. What about the temperature probability then, or the temperature forecast? That's coming out below average for all years, scoring 4.5 or more on the GavsWeatherVids Summer forecast methodology. And as far as the precipitation is concerned, for years scoring 4.5 or more, 4.5 or more, all years basically within the forecast methodology, not much of a signal, but definitely a cool signal for the temperature. Now, what about if we start narrowing things down? So let's start taking out the years that score 4.5 or more. Let's do that, shall we? So score 5 or more, I should say. That leaves us with 1951, 1952, 1963, 1964, 2005, 2008, 2018, 2012, 1998, 2018, and also 1981. So this is how all Junes combined are looking for years that are scoring 5 or more using the GavsWeatherVids Summer Forecast methodology. Makes very little difference. With below average heights again, let's just change the colour, below average heights again, covering most of northern and also Western Europe, high pressure around Greenland and going up into around the Atlantic, going up into Greenland. So a cool and unsettled signal for those Junes. All Julys combined, not much difference either, with below average heights tending to be to our east, above average heights pulled out to the west. It's a cool and also unsettled showery signal for those Julys. And all August combined, again, it doesn't make much difference if we exclude the 4.5 years and just go from 5 or more. Doesn't make much difference. It's a cool wet signal for those August with a deep trough of low pressure over northern West Europe. High pressure is out of the Atlantic, out of the free of the summer months. It looks like July probably has the best terms of dry weather, with June, August both very unsettled potentially. All months generally look quite cool. The temperature anomaly there. All summers combined, of course. So the all summers combined looks like that, with a below average height covering most of northern and also Western Europe. This is how the temperature is looking. Again, it is below average across most parts of Europe, a cooler than average summer on the GavsWeatherVids Summer Forecast methodology for years scoring 5 or more. As far as precipitation is concerned, again, as we saw with the earlier precipitation, not much of a signal, no signal really there. Let's narrow things down even more. So now we just look at the years that score 5.5 or more. That leaves us with 1988, 2018, and 1981, just 3 summers now included. And we see a very different scene now for all Junes combined for those years scoring 5.5 or more, much more of an anticyclonic signal, higher pressure both to the south and to the west of the UK and Ireland, lower pressure up towards Scandinavia. That is a drier summer signal that we have, or drier June signal that we have there. All Julys combined for years scoring 5.5 or more. Again, it looks like this, with above average heights tend to be to the west of the country, below average heights to the north and the east. Probably a drier signal for the Julys, but could be a little bit on the cool side. And then all August combined, looking at years scoring 5.5 or more, we start to bring the high pressure in over the top of the country. So out of the 3 summer months, August probably becomes the driest and warmest of the 3. All of them look quite anticyclonic though, I have to say. And then in terms of the summer overall, all summers combined, the 3 of them scoring 5.5 or more, we tend to get high pressure centred over and slightly to the west of the country. Low pressure is up to the north and northeast. Lots of dry weather coming through with that. Probably a little bit on the cool side though, with the wind tending to be from the northwest. Remember, these are very conflicting summers though. So 1998 is a rather dry but cool summer. 2018 is an exceptionally hot summer. And 1981 is quite a cool dry summer. Very, very contrasting summers there. Summer temperature for those 3 combined look like that. So still a cool and average summer signal, actually, despite 2018 being in the mix. Still a bit below average, especially so across much of the continent. It's a little bit warmer just out to our west. And then as far as precipitation is concerned, we shift towards perhaps a drier signal. Go drier with the precipitation for summer 2023 for our forecast. And then the final year, of course, is the one year that has 6 hits. That is 1981. That is the leading year for this year's summer updates. This is how June 1981 looks, with above average heights out to the west of the UK and Ireland, high pressure out to west, low pressure to the east northeast. That brings the wind in from like a northwesterly direction, so quite a cool but dry signal for the June there of 1981. July, very similar actually, with the high pressure again tend to be out to our west, the low pressure tend to be to our east and northeast. Again, that leads us to a relatively cool but dry type signal, with high pressure blowing off the Atlantic, so not particularly wet, not low pressure coming off the Atlantic, but with wind from a northwesterly direction, quite cool temperatures. And then all August combined was the best month of the three actually for summer, with high pressure in over the top of the country. That leads us to a mostly dry and warmer signal for August 1981. That's a relatively dry and warm month. That's how all summers look overall, or that's how the summer of 1981 looks overall, with high pressure over the country and to west. Low pressure is to the east-northeast. It's a mostly dry and fine signal for the summer of 1981. Temperature-wise, we come out like that. So it's a coolish sort of summer in 1981, especially so just to our north and east, but we are a little bit below average overall for temperature, and it was also a relatively dry summer, so it was a cool and dry summer that we have in 1981. Right, that's gone through all of the data there. Bit of a shocker, I think, that. Bit of a turn up for books. I doubt many people were expecting the analogs to come out like that. I certainly wasn't. I was very surprised when I got those created and saw how they were shaping up. But that's it, everyone. That's how the analogs look. Now, the question is, do we go with the analogs? What are we going to forecast? So I'm going to pause the video there. Dun, dun, dun. And when I come back, I will give you the GavsWeatherVids Summer 2023 forecast. So, one moment, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're back and we're ready to release our summer forecast, and the upshot is I'm tempted to just sit here and say I don't know, to be honest, because the analogs came out in a way that I was very, very, very much not expecting. So I was very surprised how those analogs came out. I've been thinking like a front-loaded summer, that the best of weather would be in June and the most unsettled weather would be later on in the summer. But there's not much sign of that within the analogs at all. Generally, the overall set just looks unsettled throughout the summer. And when we get towards the narrowing things down, you know, to the key years, the core years, we actually see a little bit of a signal for like August to be the driest, warmest month. I think the first thing to get on the table is that we're not seeing any sign here that this summer is going to be anywhere near as hot as last summer. So famous last words, you know, and I'm taking my life into my hands a little bit with this, I think, but there's no signal here for an excessively hot summer. So, you know, I'm going to say the overall headline is not as hot as last summer and a mixed overall summer 2023. You know, there will be drier, warmer interludes. They don't show up within the analogs, but we have to add in the fact, you know, but we're in different times now, so we will get warmer phases, I think. We can expect, you know, a couple of heat waves, I would have thought, at some point through this summer. We might get a couple of heat spikes again, might get extremely hot if that air starts pushing up from Africa. But overall, I think this summer is coming out cooler than 2022, with less in the way of extreme and, you know, intense heat. It should also be a rather more unsettled summer than last summer as well, which was an exceptionally dry summer. You know, it's a proper drought summer. I think we will have more in way of precipitation. Might come in the form of showery bursts and or thundery outbreaks at times. That said, I'm not sure there's much of a signal for an overall wet summer either with this, so I suspect summer rainfall probably comes out somewhere close to average, but there will be lots of regional variation within that, as always in summer. But I think it's the temperature side of this that is most interesting. It does look as though the temperature will probably still be a bit above average, I would have thought. Primarily, I would place that due to the warmer than average ocean temperatures in the Atlantic and around the UK. So we probably come away with a warmer than average summer still, by about a degree or so above the 91 to 2020 average. But I don't think it will be as extremely hot as we had it last summer. I don't think we will get 40 degrees again this summer, and we may see the temperature peaking at some point through the summer at a rather more modest sort of low to mid 30s rather than getting into the upper 30s and into the 40s Celsius. That is my hunch, but you know, I'm taking my life in my hands with this, because the way that the heat spikes these days from Africa, is always quite shocking. So I could be completely wrong about that. Now, as far as how this works out, it's very, very difficult to pinpoint how this is going to work out. I think we probably start off with a relatively dry, warm pattern into June. I would expect that what will happen is that high pressure will sit to the north. We'll have low pressure to the south through much of June, and that low pressure will then tend to start getting closer and closer to the south, bringing increasing fungi outbreaks, possibly fungi rain into the south. We then go into July and August, which I would expect just to be generally quite mixed at times, with showery conditions coming and going, but also spells of high pressure. I'm sorry I can't be more detailed about this, but it is a very, very difficult forecast to predict this particular season. The confidence in this, by the way, is probably only around 10-15% actually. So if I can, if I get anywhere near close, then I think it's going to be perhaps my best forecast, but it is an extremely low confidence forecast. It's barely more than a guess, actually, but we've got to go here. I've got to be honest, with everybody. I'm not going to present this to be, a highly confident forecast, because it is not, due to those analogues bearing no resemblance to what I was expecting them to come out like. So I'm really struggling. This is probably the hardest forecast that I've ever done. They all seem to be pretty hard these days, but this is has been by far the hardest forecast that I have ever had to try and work out. So I think June probably so in the end we may still come out that idea of a front-loaded type scenario. June probably has a lot of dry and warm weather, especially in the first half of it, but it tends to get more unsettled, particularly in the south later on. July and August we go into more unsettled conditions, possibly get back towards higher pressure again in August, something a little bit warmer and dry, but not as hot as August 2022 was, of course. We may have a rather unsettled middle phase to this summer, and that would be like a rather more unsettled and not as hot July, actually. Perhaps a rather cooler and more unsettled July, which would be a little bit unusual compared to what we've had recently, when July has tended to be the hottest and also be driest of the summer months a lot of the time. So yeah, it's like a bit of an on-off summer. I would expect there are going to be a couple of heat waves, maybe a couple of heat spikes in there as well, but overall not as hot as summer 2023, not as dry as summer 2023, a rather mixed summer, a little bit of everything. Perhaps maybe a bit like 1996. Everybody remembers that summer that had a little bit of everything, had something for everyone. It might be a little bit like that this summer, but I won't be expecting like long stretches of hot, dry weather like we had last year. I think particularly actually in the early part of summer there will be quite a lot of dry weather, and it will be particularly in the north. Actually in the south will be a little bit wetter, so that low pressure starts pushing up from southern regions, and then we just go into a rather mixed pattern, I think, through the remainder of the summer. So in the end I would expect the temperature comes out a little bit above average, but not excessively hot, about a degree above the 91-20 average. And as far as the precipitation is concerned, I suspect that comes out the normal, but there will be regional rainfall, so some areas might come out with a little bit wetter summer if they get quite a few thunderstorms. Other places might come out with a rather drier than average summer if they manage to dodge some of those summer downpours. And rather mixed overall is the headline for the summer of 2023, I think. And that's about as much as I can do for you, because as I say, this is by far one of the hardest forecasts that I've had to get together. The analogues came out in a very, very surprising fashion. I wasn't expecting them to come out as they did, so I've been left scratching my head and wondering and pondering what's to come and what we're going to forecast, and that is as much as I can do, and we're just going to see how it goes. But if I can get this like 50% right, I think I'll be doing okay, because it's just one of those. It's a real stinker, summer 2023, to try and work it out and get it together. The season models as well, seeing from yesterday's season model roundup, there've been no help. They're very variable and varying from scenario to scenario. I would say there is the possibility this summer could turn out to be a stinker. It could turn out to be very unsettled summer, and particularly so later on in the summer. So July, maybe August as well, could turn out actually to be really quite cool and wet. I didn't want to go that far with this summer forecast, so I'm placing it more in the mixed category, and that we're going to get variable weather, and there will be some hotter spells coming and going. But there is the possibility, and we saw it within a couple of season models yesterday, particularly for Tarpanes analogues, that this summer might turn out actually to be really quite unsettled and quite a cool wet summer. So we're going to have to wait and see how it works out. I'm not predicting that, I'm just saying, as a heads up, that is a possibility, that is a risk with this particular summer, I think. But we'll see how we go, we're not predicting that. Okay, so that's it for the summer 2023 forecast, Ben. Final analysis, we're predicting a mixed summer, not as hot or as dry as summer 2022 was. We're saying that the temperature will be a bit above average, precipitation probably near normal, but there will be regional rainfall. We're saying that the summer will start off on quite a warm and dry note, but will gradually turn more unsettled from the south and into the south as we go through June, leading to a mixed couple of months in July and August, though August might see the high pressure starting to come back and turn things warmer and drier again later on in the month. And we're saying that there probably will be a couple of heat waves or heat spikes in there, but don't expect long stretches of hot, dry weather such as we had last year. So a much more typical British summer compared to summer 2022, which was a very excessively hot and dry summer. Right, we'll see how it goes. That's as much as I can do for you. If you found this forecast interesting, informative and useful, please let me know in the comments. Like, share and subscribe on the summer forecast, and we shall see how it goes. We're going to be on to autumn updates, and we've got the winter 2023-24 NAO forecast coming up for you in June. So the long range bandwagon always rolls on at GavsWeatherVids, and we'll have more for you in terms of the long range, starting with autumn updates. I suspect the first one of those will be appearing next week. Thank you so much to Terry, thank you so much to Richard, thank you so much to Shryan for all of their help, not only on this forecast, but also on this season of summer updates, and for the GavsWeatherVids Summer 2023 forecast. That is all for now, and thanks for watching.